Did it seem like Draco was like, is he really hoping they get her, or is he like, hey, you better get out of here?
He makes sure that he's fully covered with the invisibility cloak, and he comes back out. Barty knows, and yet
Little bit of an update on the HBO Harry Potter series. It seems as if the first season is going to be wrapping up this month, I believe. And production for season number 2 is going to be starting this fall.
yeah,
That
they're going to have to
is
go back to
insane.
back to back to back.
It's crazy though. Which it's good that they're filming that quick, because I know that they're worried about the ages of the kids.
Yeah,
at
you don't
least,
want
and
23-year-olds playing your 17-year-olds,
yeah,
18-year-olds.
and I know John Lithgow is like, it's a very important role, but it might be my last role, so
Yeah.
yeah.
I wish, part of me is like, look, you should have learned from Richard Harris, the actor that played the first Dumbledore. You hired an old actor to play an old character for.
I assume John Lithgow's pretty healthy, because I wouldn't imagine he would take the role in a clear conscience, having any sort of major health issues.
80 years old.
Yeah.
80 years old. It's still a bold move.
Bold move, Cotton. Let's see how
Hopefully,
it plays out.
hopefully, John, if you're listening to this, obviously you watch our YouTube. We don't want you to just stay alive for the Harry Potter series. We want you to stay
Really?
alive as long as possible.
Yeah.
You-
Well, I imagine as the movies go on, too, the production's probably going to start slowing down, because I would just assume it's going to get more complicated as it goes. I would hope.
yeah.
I would hope so. But
And some of these shows, I can't remember. I can't remember if Game of Thrones did this. But they're filming in so many different locations. They would have assistant directors, other film crews filming smaller stuff, B-roll stuff. We don't need. You don't need the main director
yeah,
to be filming. Oh, students are coming from the castle to
yeah.
herbology, right? So hopefully
Film that
they
and insert it when you need it. Yeah.
right. So hopefully they make it efficient.
Well, I mean, just because filming is ended doesn't mean production is ended, because I imagine there's going to be quite a bit of editing and post-production and all that stuff. So
Well, and here's the thing: if it's wrapping up, they've already told us Christmas. We're getting
can't
episode
wait till Christmas.
right. We're getting The Boy Who Lived
Oh,
on Christmas. So they've got
I really want to
more
see
than
what
half
they
a
do with
year.
this first episode. Oh my goodness.
It'll be good. I'm excited. I'm
Yep.
excited. They've got my hopes up, which hurts my feelings, because I didn't want to get my hopes up, because you know what happens when your hopes get up.
My hopes aren't really up.
Yeah.
I'm just excited at the possibilities that
Sure.
are laid in front of us.
Sure.
I mean, they're gonna have stuff that we haven't seen before. That's in the
Yeah.
books that we haven't seen. That's a given. But
Yeah.
now it's just, what are we going to see, and how are they going to portray it? And
We're going to see Nicholas Flamel.
I know.
We know that.
Oh, it's
We
gonna
know
be
that.
So great. It's gonna be so
And
great.
more than likely, we're going to see Fudge in episode 1, according to IMDb.
I sure hope so. That would
So.
be amazing. Well, that being said, welcome back, witches, wizards, and muggles, to Squib's Corner. I am Jeremiah.
And I'm Andrew, and better hold on tight to your butterbeer for this episode, because Chapter 9, The Dark Mark, is a really cool turning point in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. It's a very exciting chapter. Obviously, before we go forward into Chapter 9, we got to go backwards into Chapter 8, the Quidditch World Cup. But before we do that, we want to give a huge shout out to everybody that's listening, everybody that's watching, everybody that's commented, thumbs up, hearts, likes, all of that. It's super cool to see. Obviously, Jeremiah and I are doing this. It's a lot of fun for us. obviously we're
Oh, yes.
big Harry Potter fans. So to have other Harry Potter fans comment and show love, show appreciation, super cool.
It's amazing. It's
Super
amazing
cool.
to see us all come together and just talk about this. It's great. It's great.
Yeah. So chapter 8, the Quidditch World Cup. Let's sum it up quick because we've got a long chapter.
All right.
We got to see the Quidditch World Cup final between Bulgaria, Ireland. Ireland wins. Winky is there. We meet Winky, important character in this book.
Well,
We're in the
important
top
point.
box.
No. Ireland won, but Victor Crumb caught the snitch.
Ireland won. Victor Crumb caught the snitch, which is important because
Yes, it is.
this chapter ends on, well, if you remember in the chapter, Ludo Bagman's going around collecting bets, right?
Yep.
And so the twins, they invest over 37 or gamble over 37 galleons worth of their money that they've saved. That Ireland will win.
Invest sounds better.
Invest, because they're doing it for a reason. Still a gamble,
yeah,
but every investment is a gamble.
Oh yeah.
Right, every investment is a gamble. So our chapter actually ends. Chapter 8 actually ends with the boys, the twins, going up to Ludo Bagman and be like, "Money, please."
Yep.
And then that brings us to chapter 9. Before we jump into our 7-word summary, we're going to try something new today, which I think might catch on, it might not catch on, but we're going to do a quick segment called Owl Post.
Yes. Andrew, take it away. What is this owl post?
So we've talked.
I think it's self-explanatory, but
Yeah, so we've talked. We're getting more and more people that are commenting on different platforms, sending us messages on different platforms. It sounded cool. So we figured if we get enough, or if at least we get one, then every week we'll just share a new comment that we get that we think is cool. Yeah. And there's one of our listeners who I want to say has commented before at Student Filmed. He is starting over at the very beginning. So
love it. Thank you.
I know, so cool. So he on episode 5, I want to say
7.
Episode 7, we get into the sorting hat. And he says, commenting on an old episode as I make my way through from the start. But there's actually a bit of extra lore from JK on Pottermore about this, talking about the sorting hat. So the sorting hat has apparently spent nearly 4 minutes deciding between Gryffindor and Ravenclaw for Hermione before putting her in Gryffindor, which a lot of people, we did know that.
Yeah.
If it takes, and he did remind me of this, if it takes more than 5 minutes, that's called a hat stall. In those cases, the hat can sometimes take the student's preference into account too, that's super rare and only happens roughly once every 50 years. So just a little more info that at Student Filmed shared.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
With the sorting hat. So thank you so much for that comment. So now let's jump into the 7-word summary.
Andrew, this is a big chapter, and I dare say it's a very important chapter. This chapter, honestly,
a lot.
I want to say sets the tone for the rest of the series.
Yes.
Yeah.
This one was really, really hard for me to come up with a 7-word summary. I came up with a few of them, but the one that I've settled on is the dark mark and Crouch is a jerk. Right? Like
Okay.
that's kind of my 7-word summary there.
I thought your started out the same as mine. Mine is the dark mark appeared.
Poser. What a poser. Be original.
No, I like it. The dark mark appeared. He is coming.
All true. I like it.
Yeah.
So
that's the way Mr. Lovegood. What's his name? What's his first name? Mr. Lovegood. That's all I remember him as.
You don't know Lovegood's first name?
Not off the top of my head right now. I know once you say it, I'm gonna be like, yeah.
Would you like to buy a consonant?
I want to
X.
say
X.
Xenophilius Lovegood.
Xenophilius Lovegood.
I think he's the one that whispers, "He is coming." I think he's the one, or is that in a?
I think in the movie, when the Golden Trio go to visit him and they have Luna.
No, that's at the wedding, I think. I
Oh,
think
that's
that's at the
so
wedding.
if you're talking about the wedding, Kingsley Shacklebolt sends his
Yeah.
Patronus. And what's
Such a
Kingsley
great
Shacklebolt's
scene.
Patronus?
Oh man, I really don't remember that one.
A lynx. It's a lynx. And he says, the ministry has fallen. They are coming. Okay. Okay.
It's so great to hear it. It just puts you in a certain mood.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now we'll get to the 7-chapter notables, Andrew.
In this chapter, back to
How
this.
many realistic 7-chapter notables do you think there were in this?
I had 11. I had 11.
Wow.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. Like a chapter notable, there are a few almost criteria for the chapter notable. Right? I think the biggest criteria is how big of an impact this has on the story.
Yeah, reoccurring.
The 7 books.
Yeah.
Then how big of an impact does it have on this book? And then how does it have an impact on the reader when they're as they're going through that particular scene? Like those are kind of my 3. And
that's why some of the latter chapters, it was so hard to pick notables because there just really wasn't.
It's just so. And this
there's some
one,
funny and good parts, but they're not really notable. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. So chapter notable number 1, we will actually see twice at the front of the chapter and the back of the chapter. Hooded and masked wizards. Okay. Number 2, Madame Maxine and Beaubaton. Number 3, Wandless.
And you've brought that up a number of times.
Whew. Number 4, Winky, who she's been mentioned in a couple chapter notables. Yeah. Number 5, super easy, the Dark Mark, obviously. Number 6, Stupefy. Very common, but this is the first time that we see it in the books, which is wild.
I know.
Several new spell alerts.
Nice.
Okay, several new spell alerts, but Stupefy we see a lot going forward. Yeah. And then number 7, Clothes.
So have you, because the Dark Mark, have you ever? I'm assuming you don't have any tattoos.
No, I personally don't have any tattoos.
Would you ever get a Harry Potter tattoo?
I would never get a tattoo, right? That's just me. Now, if I were a tattoo guy, there would be. I think that I would. Number 1, I would not get a Dark Mark tattoo. He's clearly the antagonist.
Yeah, but
right, he's clearly the antagonist. So to get the Dark Mark tattoo is like, yeah, I'm on Voldemort's side in all this. You're like, what?
Yeah.
What? Now I get it. For those of you that have the Dark Mark tattoo, I get it. I'm not saying you guys are Nazis, right? You guys, but I and I feel like I would be a minimalist tattoo guy. Maybe, on a tricep there would be the sign of the Deathly Hallows, right? Something like that. Because I feel like that was super deep magic, like deep lore magic. So that would be cool. Probably have something Lord of the Rings, tattoo. But
I've thought about getting tattoos before, and man, sometimes I feel like I'm obligated to get a Harry Potter tattoo, but at the same time, I think I would look at the tattoo and notice, like, oh, that's not how that's supposed to be. Oh, it's slightly off a little bit. Like I would notice everything wrong with it, and I just couldn't bring myself to do it.
Yeah, it's just I've never been into. I don't have anything against them. Like I've seen some really cool tattoos, and you told people like, "Oh, your tattoo's freaking awesome." Yeah, do you have any? No, I don't.
Well, you don't have any piercings either, and I obviously have
No, I don't have any
big old hole
piercing.
through my ear. So
I'm not a girl, No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
well, these you can. I don't know if you can right now, but you
The
can
gauges,
see
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I'm a simple man. I'm a simple man. I don't have
Mr.
enough
Golfer.
money. I don't have enough. Yeah, I was like, I don't have enough money to get tattoos and jewelry. I'm too busy buying golf balls. But okay.
All right.
So,
Well, we'll get into the chapter now, I suppose.
That's right. That's right. Okay, so let's get into first paragraph. I don't know if you've seen what I've started doing. I've started doing the first paragraph and the last paragraph. It feels good for me. It's my script sandwich. So remember, we just finished chapter 8, the Quidditch World Cup final. It's over. The Twins bet hit. And so now it's all over. Everything's ending. And first paragraph. Don't tell your mother you've been gambling, Mr. Weasley implored Fred and George as they all made their way slowly down the purple carpeted stairs.
And I love it. We would never tell Mom we were gambling. We have some big plans for this money, and we do not need it confiscated.
Big plans, yeah.
So the Quidditch World Cup is over.
I'm
already.
I'm back in pop quiz mode. Like I think I enjoy the pop quiz mode.
Love it.
How many continents? No, I'm just kidding. What was the final score of the Quidditch World Cup?
160 to 150. Right?
No.
I swear it was 170 to 160.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
Because
Bulgaria,
close right there.
Bulgaria scored 1 goal and caught the snitch. Like that was their World Cup final performance.
Not good.
But hey, you got the 160 right. You were right there. You were right there. So don't be too hard on yourself for getting it wrong.
I got a 90%. The stadium begins to empty amongst the commotion of people celebrating or complaining about an absolute eclectic Quidditch match.
Ain't nobody said eclectic. Nobody said eclectic.
Mr. Weasley would.
Electricity.
Fred and George put all of their money on a risky bet that hit, and now they want their winnings. As they're leaving the top box, they go tell their father they definitely won't tell their mother about the gambling because they've got big plans for this money. And like I said, they do not want it confiscated. No. The energy around the campsites made it difficult for the Weasley crew to go to sleep, so they stayed up a little longer. I would too. And It sounds great. Man, it just sounds... I'm pretty sure they drank hot cocoa the night before, and I'm drinking hot cocoa again. It just sounds great. Now, I have a question, Andrew.
Talk to me.
I almost hit the button, but hot cocoa, if you are preparing it, water or milk?
Man, that's a great question.
Or coffee. Oh, you don't drink caffeine.
I don't drink caffeine. Well, I don't drink coffee. Seldom I'll drink caffeine. I don't drink a lot of hot cocoa, but when we do. So we don't drink a lot of dairy in our house. We have milk. It's an organic almond milk, and so we'll heat that up to make the hot cocoa. My daughter, my 5-year-old, loves hot cocoa.
Yeah,
So,
when I make it, I use water because the thought of warming up milk just sounds so disgusting. But if somebody else is making
milk,
it,
milk comes out warm, right?
Yeah.
Like at its
but
source.
if somebody else makes it and they use milk, I'm all for it.
You're
just can't bring myself to do it. So
I get it. I can't believe now when I thought about this. I can't believe they left the stadium. They walked through the woods and they went straight to their camp, straight to their tents. I'm like, you're not going to the Ireland section? I mean,
There's 100,000 people there, though. I don't
but that we know that there are multiple fields, right? There are multiple fields, and they know exactly where the Ireland section is because they walk through it to get to the water
Look
tap.
at the amount of people walking around, though.
Man, I would. Yeah, but it's a once in a lifetime thing.
Yeah,
Once in a you got to go to the Ireland side and just see what's going on. Let's go hang out with Seamus for a little bit. Seamus is partying hard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing they didn't go. It's a good thing they didn't go.
All
I'll just say
true.
that.
All
We'll
true.
get to it.
Very true.
So-
Very true. Yeah.
So we also get something weird thrown in the mix by J.K. Mr. Weasley got drawn into a disagreement about cobbing with Charlie.
Yeah, so you read. I've really enjoyed doing these summaries. I like to read through the chapters, and then in my spare time, if I've got spare time, I'll listen to it. So I'm reading this chapter, and they're in the tents. They're drinking their hot cocoa. They're talking about the Quidditch World Cup, talking about the plays, talking about all the stuff that's happening. And then just out of nowhere, there's this weird sentence while they're all talking. And it's Mr. Weasley gets drawn into a disagreement about cobbing with Charlie. Now, there are several instances in the books where she'll use a common British English word in her writing that doesn't make sense to us. We don't have that word in our American lexicon. So I had to Google it. Cobbing, and I hope that somebody out there can help us out. Somebody that knows proper English better than we do. Cobbing is what they called when you spank children with a wooden paddle. or it's how dogs use their mouth to nudge
Neither one
you.
of those would make sense in this
So
scenario.
I'm like, Mr. Weasley got drawn into a disagreement about cobbing. So was one of them like, you should totally be able to beat children with wooden paddles. And the other one's like, no, you shouldn't. Like, we're sitting here talking about, so somebody please help us out. Please help me out. I need to know.
I was laughing because I went to the store and I'm trying to replace all our plastic utensils with wooden utensils. And I get a pack of wooden utensils and it's, I don't know, what are the really old generation called?
Boomers?
Yeah, boomer.
Like Gen X?
Yeah, boomer guy or age walked up to me and
Sure,
said,
yeah.
Wooden spoons, huh? You gonna use those to cook or to whoop your child with? It's
Good
just
gracious.
how ironic that we bring that up right here.
Gracious. Yeah. So I just think it's so funny that
It can't be either one of those. It's definitely, yeah. for
Mr.
sure.
Weasley got
if you
drawn
know what
into a
they're talking
disagreement about cobbing with Charlie.
Yeah, if you know what they're talking about, drop a comment, and then we'll
Please,
definitely shout you out.
please let me
'cause
know.
I'm sure we're not the only one confused. So
So eventually, Mr. Weasley insisted that it was time to go to bed. Ginny falls asleep at the table, spills hot cocoa everywhere. He's like, okay, it's time. Though from the sounds of it, the Weasley crew's going to bed, but outside the tent, everybody's still up doing their thing. It's the Quidditch World Cup. I get it.
I don't blame them. I don't.
Yeah,
I mean, the
no-
energy right now. Jeez.
Yeah, no end in sight. So
And they're not going home like that. That's what you would do after a normal game. You would go home, not stay in the vicinity. So
yeah.
Jeez.
So obviously they all go to the bed. Harry goes to his top bunk. Harry's a seeker, and he just got to see a world-class seeker, right? So he can't go to sleep. He kept replaying Crumb's performance. He wanted to get back to his firebolt, try out the Vronsky feint for himself.
Yes.
And then he imagines himself in front of 100,000 fans and Ludo Bagman, I give you Potter, and it's like, yeah, like he's feeling it. And before he could tell if he was dreaming or not, this is when the chapter gets more serious. Mr. Weasley was waking he and Ron up, yelling at them to get up, get their jackets on, and get outside. You're like, oh, whoa.
So, what I've noticed with this Harry Potter series is the fun stuff that's introducing things, showing you the Wizarding World a little bit more in depth. That's cool and everything.
Yeah.
But I'm like, where's the serious? I want to get to the serious stuff. I don't know if that has
Yeah.
something to do with my age. But like right now, I'm like, oh yeah, here we go. Now
Well,
we're
it's
getting
coming.
in here.
You know it's coming. And a good example of I'm not a big fan of chapter titles, right? So we get to chapter 9, we see the dark mark, but literally, let's see if I can show this to you. Literally, it shows a picture of tents on fire and people floating in the air.
Yeah.
So it's almost this. My wife and I were so funny. If I've seen something, or if neither of us has seen something, and it gets intense, she will look up the ending to put herself at ease.
Okay. Yeah.
Like she doesn't like to, and people will be like, "Oh, did you see that movie that came out? Shut your mouth. I don't want to talk to you. No, don't tell
Have
me."
you watched Bates
Nothing.
Motel?
That's a very old movie, right?
No. The series.
Oh, no, I've not.
There's a whole series, and it's got that. Oh man, I'm gonna have to look them up.
But if somebody, now here's the thing: if you were to say to me right now, "Hey, I highly recommend you watch Bates Motel," I'd be like, "Okay." But if somebody's like, "Hey, did you watch Bates Motel?" Like, "No, I haven't." And they're like, "It's okay."
No.
And they want to tell me what's going on. I'm like,
highly
"Okay, cool."
recommend you watch Bates Motel. It's got Freddie Highmore. So
Freddie Highmore.
right off the bat,
Yeah.
he's an amazing actor.
Okay.
Have you seen The Good Doctor?
No.
Freddie Highmore's also in that.
He
so I would
is.
recommend both of those. But Bates Motel, talk about the first time we watched it together. We watched it before bed, and I told her, I cannot watch this before bed anymore
do
because
that,
it
yeah.
is piquing my anxiety through the roof. She's like, it's not that bad. It's like, no, it's that bad. When you watch it the second, third time, you already know what's coming, so it puts you at ease. But the first time, man, I would definitely ask your wife if she has heard of Bates Motel, the series with Freddie Highmore.
I doubt she has. She watches fewer shows than I do.
I'm sure. I can guarantee that you guys will love it.
Okay.
I can guarantee it.
Okay.
I can guarantee it.
Okay.
But we just had some technical difficulties, so we're going to try to get back into this, and this might make for a long episode if Andrew's internet keeps going in and out.
No, we're gonna say it's gonna stay now.
All right. So as soon as they were up and moving, Harry could tell something was wrong. The noises in the campsite had changed. The singing had stopped. He could hear screams and the sound of people running. He slipped down from the bunk and reached for his clothes, but Mr. Weasley, he just put his clothes on over his pajamas and told Harry, "No time, Harry. Just grab a jacket and get outside. Quickly." I didn't do an accent.
didn't.
"No time, Harry. Just grab a jacket and get outside. Quickly." That wasn't much better.
I liked it though. It was an effort.
Yeah, that's all right.
It was an effort.
Yeah. It was absolute pandemonium. People were running away into the woods, and there were odd flashes of light. I think it said green light. Noises that sounded like gunfire. There was a jeering, laughter, and drunken yells, and then a burst of green light. There it is. Chapter notable number 1. Then Harry saw a crowd of wizards that were wearing hoods and masks. High in the air above them were 4 people who were being tossed and turned involuntarily. 2 of them are kids who seemed to be controlled by the hooded wizards on the ground. And I think he said one of them looked like the campsite manager.
Yeah. I get into that.
Probably his wife.
Yeah, I get in that in a second. He recognizes Mr. Roberts, and then his wife and 2 kids. That's
bad. More and more people seem to be joining the crowd of wizards as they continue to advance. Tents were trampled to the ground or blasted out of the way, and the screaming grew louder. Now, I want to ask, so those people are being tossed and turned into the air. What spell do you think is being used?
I mean, you've got Levicorpus, which is an easy one.
But it doesn't say that they're dangling by like their ankles or anything, so it just could be like Wingardium Leviosa.
Yeah, it could be
or
easy.
Leviosa.
You know, and I think what's more disturbing in this scene is that we can assume that the Death Eaters started doing this, but then more and more people started joining them. That's what's disturbing. So when you look at world history, and especially, you know, J.K. draws a lot of parallels to Voldemort and Hitler and, you know, the Nazi movement and the Holocaust and all that jazz with, you know, obviously mudbloods and different things like that. You look at the people that weren't part of the army that saw what was going on and then ratted on their neighbors. And, you know, like they joined in on it, you know. Yes, some were compelled to do so, but others were just by choice, you know, decided to do those. So, you know, to see these people, and then the crowd got bigger and bigger. So you've got a handful. You assume there's not a lot of Death Eaters, but you've got Death Eaters, and then people just joined and joined and joined, and now they're just destroying things. Whether there are people, it doesn't say they checked to see if people were in the tents. It just says they're trampling tents and blasting tents out of the way. So, like you said, as the crowd gets closer to Harry and them, he recognizes Mr. Roberts. He assumes that it's, you know, obviously if you remember, Mr. Roberts was a muggle. He's not a wizard. And so his family being up there, and at one point, you know, it shows that they dangle the wife upside down so that her night skirt comes down and you can see her in her underwear. And one of the small children was being just spun around violently in his head. You know, he couldn't hold his head up anymore. And even Ron was like, yeah, that's just sick. Like, I can't believe they're doing that.
That is sick.
And once Hermione and Ginny made their way out of their tents with Mr. Weasley right behind them, it was kind of decided Fred, George, Ron, Ginny, Harry, and Hermione, they would go into the woods to seek shelter. And then Mr. Weasley and Bill, Charlie, and Percy, they were going to go and they're going to help the Ministry to try to squash this, you know, obviously bad behavior, right? Lack of a better words. So Harry and them, they go to the woods. It's obviously dark in the woods. The path was lit previously to and from the
like Hermione.
Yeah, and it's not anymore. So they're making their way through the woods at night. It's dark. There's a ton of people around them, and then Ron falls. He trips on a root, and Hermione's like, this is ridiculous. So she pulls out her wand to shed some light on the situation. And they see where they are, and as they're, you know, figuring out the situation, they hear the last voice that they want to hear in that situation, right? Draco Malfoy's there. And Draco is super calm. He's super cool. He's super relaxed at this potentially dangerous situation. And to sum up, I mean, I really had to cut a lot of the fat of this chapter because there was a lot in there. He's basically like, Hermione, you should probably get out of here. They're searching for muggles and you're a mudblood. And they're like, well, you seem kind of cool. Is your dad out there? And he turns slowly and goes, if he was, would I tell you that he was? I'm not going to tell you that. And then there's more blasting and more cannon. And then they're ready to move on.
So I had a question about this whole conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure initially reading it, I thought differently about it. But now, did it seem like Draco was like, ha, you might finally meet your sticky end, right? Because that gets brought up, sticky end,
right? Yeah.
Or did it seem more like he was warning Hermione to leave? More of like, hey, you better leave, like more of like a protection kind of thing.
I don't. There's a lot of people out there that ship Hermione. They like to believe that Draco had a crush on her, and he might have, right?
Well,
might
like
have.
I said about Lucius Malfoy, his character arc, or however you want to call that,
Yeah.
Draco has the same sort of arc as his father. I mean, they're both the same person.
Yeah.
So, like, knowing what we know or what we think, it's so subtle
Yeah.
that you could kind of go any which direction with it. But,
Yeah.
that's the thing that makes me think, well, is he really hoping they get her? Or is he like, hey, you better get out of here? Like, for real, you better get out of here.
That's a good question. That's the beautiful thing about literature. Once you've read the whole thing and once you hear, Lucius, because a lot of people point to the fact that at the beginning of book 3 is when they use flute powder, and he ends up in Nocturnally, right? Or is that book 2? I'm all confused now. Book 2. Yeah, because he took the night bus to... Yeah, so book 2, they use flute powder, and he ends up in Nocturnally. Well, then Lucius and Draco show up there, and Lucius already knows all about Hermione. Like, I can't believe you let her beat you and all this stuff. It's like, does he know that from being a governor of the school, or does he know that because Draco has vented to his dad about it, right? So... I don't ship the whole Hermione thing. I think Draco's...
Well, I don't ship it.
I think Draco's a piece of garbage, and, he's out here watching his dad and his buddies torture muggles and, having a good old time with it, so...
Well, we also learn or assume that the fronts that both Draco and Lucius put on are exactly that. They're just fronts. So,
well, I don't...
But we can only assume it, though. We don't know 100% unless JK's come out and said something about it.
Well, and not that I know of, but I don't know if Lucius is particularly evil or if he is, pro pure blood.
Right, like, you donated to the hospital? How did...
yeah,
Wait,
you know what I'm saying?
the hospital?
He obviously loves his son very much. But, because there are things that show, especially when Voldemort comes back, Lucius does everything like he's supposed to, but it's all very fear-based. He's afraid of, the alternative. Now, when...
Quite honestly... I would be as well. Even though I say Voldemort's my favorite character, I would be reluctantly doing what I'm supposed to do, right?
Spoken like a true Hufflepuff.
Yeah, spoken like a true coward.
They're like, give Gryffindors are like, give me freedom or give me death. There's a great... Did you ever watch the movie Pearl Harbor?
I had to have.
Great movie. Yeah. Josh Hartnett, Ben Affleck, Kate Beckinsale, and the general on there. I can't remember if it's General MacArthur. I don't think it's General MacArthur, but played by Alec Baldwin. And they're on the plane, on the carrier, and they're about to do the planes over to Japan. Like they have to have enough. They've got to drop bombs on Japan. And then they've got to make it to mainland China. And he goes, what you do down there is your business. If you crash, what you do down there is your business. And he goes, but I wasn't born to be a prisoner. Basically, I'm going down fighting. Like, I'm not going to, So, Lucius is a coward. You see that very through. Yeah. And then you see Draco doing the same thing. It's the
father like son. That's a prime example.
It is the fear. Now, here's the thing. I talk a big game, but I've never been in that situation.
Yeah.
Right? Where I'm sitting in the same room as my father and my mother in my own home with the most dangerous person in the world. If I act up, if I say something out of line, does he just raise his wand at my mom and kill her because he's heartless? And now I have to live with the fact that, oh, I got up to rebel and then my mom's dead. And now, you know what I'm saying? So like there's obviously a lot that goes into this. But I think in this moment,
it's something to pay attention to as you keep listening.
I think in this moment to answer your question, I think Draco is enjoying all this.
Yeah. So after a brief verbal altercation with Malfoy, Harry, Ron, and Hermione head deeper into the woods. Though at this point they can't find Fred, George, or Ginny. As they continue making their way through the woods, they ran into chapter notable number 2, ouch, French girl who spoke to Ron, saying, "Oi est Madame Maxine?" Oh, maybe I should try that. An accent that keeps
I was so happy that this part fell on your. I was like, I can't wait to hear. He's got to do a girl's French accent.
Well, not that you said that. Où est Madame Maxine? Nois Ivanos Pedro. I speak fluent French. Thank you very much.
That was, oh my gosh. That might have been my favorite part of this entire thing.
So, realizing that they couldn't speak French, she left. Hermione pointed out that she probably attends Beauxbaton's Academy of Magic, and as that girl walks away,
Hogwarts, yeah.
Hogwarts. Continuing on, Ron pulled out his wand to make their path bright. Harry went to do the same. Chapter notable number 3, Harry dug into the pockets of his jacket for his own wand, but it wasn't there. The only thing he could find was his omnioculars, which...
Every time I read this part, I have a visceral reaction. It's like in the last book when Sirius, as the great black dog, drags Ron under the Whomping Willow and Ron hooks his foot. Every time I read that part, I have a visceral reaction. So Harry being in a battle situation, a dangerous situation, he saw the bad people, and now he's without the one thing. Oh, I hate it so much.
No, it's definitely not good. And he even says it's not good.
Yeah.
So they looked around for it on the ground. Maybe he left it in the tent. Maybe it fell out of his pocket while they were running. Either way, being without his wand while danger is so close made Harry feel super vulnerable. Then they heard something in the woods that startled them. Chapter notable number 4, Winky, the house elf, was fighting her way out of a clump of bushes nearby. She was moving in a most peculiar fashion, apparently with great difficulty. It was as though someone invisible were trying to hold her back. And I'm sure you bring it up. I'll let you talk a little bit here because you do bring it up.
Well, and I love when you read stuff and and Hermione actually makes a great reason why that she would be walking that way. And then you read the whole book and then you go back to read it again and you're like,
I was going to say, I love how Hermione tried to point out the obvious.
Yeah.
Was wrong.
Which as you're reading it, you're
wrong.
like, ooh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
So
but she's wrong. She's wrong.
Yes.
It's nice for Hermione to get humbled, but I don't think she ever fully realizes she's wrong.
No,
does she?
No. I mean, here's the thing: when the truth is just so far fetched.
Yeah, I get it.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh well, of course I was wrong. Like, who would have ever guessed the truth of that? No one.
Well, it's like if you're a logical thinker like you and I are, and somebody
and Hermione
tries to tell us something different, and we're like, well, that just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You have to be wrong. Like,
yeah.
Even if they're right, you're like, well, whoever came up with that doesn't make any sense. So
yeah,
it's
Winky, like
it's not
Winky's
a good thought process to have.
Yeah, Winky's coming by, and she's like, oh, there's, bad wizards about, the people high in the air. She's super terrified of all that. And Hermione reminds Harry and Ron, like, number one, Winky told us she was afraid of heights, so she sees people up high, and now she's trying to escape into the woods. And they're like, she was probably told to stay in the tent, don't go anywhere. So now she's disobeying an order. So hard on her. And, it even says, Harry thought back of when he first met Dobby and how if he said anything, even if he said anything contrary to his master's.
And it's a good callback to see the different ways. Like,
yeah.
She's not necessarily punishing herself, but it's like she's
hard for her.
Yeah.
So, so pretty cool little scene there. I love, just kind of the build up in Hermione. This is when Hermione, this was almost a chapter notable. Hermione starts talking about how angry he is about how house elves are treated, which plays a part not only in this book, but heavily in this book. But, you bring it up in books to come, but she's just super upset about how house elves are treated. But anyway, there's another loud bang that forced them to drop the conversation on house elf warfare, and they head deeper into the woods. They passed a ton of people. They passed people running. They passed goblins that were cackling over sacks of gold that they assumed, hey, maybe they had won this because of the Quidditch World Cup. They came upon a clearing where there were 3 Vila, and these 3 Vila had several young wizards stopped in their tracks trying to impress them. Even Ron tried to jump in the mix.
I have a feeling I know.
This is a two-parter.
All right.
This is a two-parter. We recognize, we know one of the boys that was trying to impress the Vila.
Yeah.
Who was that?
Stan Shunpike.
Stan Shunpike, 1 for 1. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I've just turned this into a 3-parter because you got that so easily.
Oh, crap.
What did Stan Shunpike say to the Vila to try to impress them?
I think he said he is about to become the youngest minister.
2 for 2. Very nice. And then what did Ron say to them to try to impress them?
Oh, I knew that. I knew you were going to ask that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had forgotten what he.
Okay.
It caught me off guard because they're running, and then all of a sudden, Ron's
yeah, it's so ridiculous, here.
Yeah, whatever it was, it caught me off guard.
I'll paraphrase here. Do you know I invented a broomstick that'll fly to Jupiter? So Hermione being disgusted at Ron, Harry and Hermione drag him away. After some time, they're straight into the heart of the woods, right? It's super quiet there, and they felt as though they were at least safe enough, far enough away from danger at this point that they could wait there until everything calms down.
But just at that moment, little Bagman emerged from a tree near them. And how he was dressed before and the excitement he had, well, he looked a bit different than he did at the Quidditch final. He no longer looked buoyant and rosy-faced. There were no more springs in his step. He looked very white and strained. And again, even though the description of him appeared that he knew what was going on, he didn't know what was going on.
He didn't know anything. But
which was like,
yes.
What?
At the time, reading this for the first time, you're like, this makes no sense. What are you doing over here?
Yeah.
What are you doing over here?
But just hearing the description, you're like, oh, he knows what's going on. Oh, wait, no, he doesn't.
He does
what?
not, yeah.
So he asked why the 3 of them were that deep in the woods, and they told him about what was happening at the campsites, and he just clearly didn't know about this and disapparated immediately, presumably to go help. And didn't he also go, damn?
Yeah, oh, damn. They are.
I just love the use of the... Maybe it's just the way that Jim Dale says it, because it's damn.
Jim.
They always say it.
I love that guy.
Okay.
Ludo Bagman. 3-parter.
Oh,
Three-parter. What position did he play?
he played. My initial guess is to say seeker.
Okay.
Correct?
No.
Okay.
Wrong.
He's a beater.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
He was a beater.
Yeah.
What team did he play for? It's mentioned a few times.
Couldn't tell you. I'm terrible with names. I'm terrible with names.
He played for the Windborne Wasps.
Okay, yeah.
And how many league championships did they win with him in a row?
I'm going to say 3.
It was 3.
Yeah.
We'll take 3.
All right.
Okay.
Getting better.
You got the first one wrong and the second one wrong, so...
Well, I got 50% on the first. Well, how many different positions is there? There's
how many different positions are there?
Four different positions.
Okay.
So I got a 75%.
Okay.
I got 4 chances. I took one. So, 3 out of 4.
Okay.
Just when they thought they were safe and alone, they heard something moving through the woods. They called out, but no one answered. They waited, but nothing happened. Then suddenly, a voice unlike any they had heard in the woods uttered a spell. Chapter notable number 5, Mors Morder! And something vast, green, and glittering erupted from the patch of the darkness Harry's eyes had been struggling to penetrate. It flew up over the treetops into the sky, a colossal skull, comprised of what looked like emerald stars with a serpent protruding from its mouth like a tongue. They watched it, rose higher and higher, blazing in a haze of greenish smoke, etched against the black sky like a new constellation.
Yeah, and what's wild is you've got this huge skull, and it's such a cool description of it. You get this huge skull, and when that huge skull appears in the sky, just a bunch of screaming started breaking out in the woods from those who were seeking shelter. And Hermione...
Could you imagine being there? Like witnessing all of this and seeing that in the sky, knowing what it is?
Well, and you had 2 types of spectators there. Those who knew what it was and those who didn't, right? I'm surprised Hermione didn't know what it was since she reads so much.
She did know what it was. It was Ron that didn't know.
None of them knew.
No, Hermione knew.
You sure about that?
Yeah.
You sure about that?
Yeah, she said it's you-know-whose symbol. I read about it and blah, 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 blah. And then later Ron said...
That's right. I literally...
What the bloody hell was that
That's
thing?
my
And
next...
Ron, I already told you.
That's my next thing. That's my next thing. That's so funny. Because in my head you're saying that, and I'm like, Hermione has never seen the Dark Mark before.
She probably hasn't.
But she has read about it, yes. So obviously Hermione, grasping the severity and the gravity of the situation, she urges Harry and Ron to move. And they're like, wait, what's going on? She's like, that's the Dark Mark. That's you-know-whose mark. But before they could even take a few steps away from where they were, a series of popping noises announced the arrival of 20 wizards appearing from thin air surrounding them. Each of these wizards...
Just put yourself in that situation.
Oh, my
right
gosh.
there. Oh, my.
Yeah, you just heard a strange voice. You heard an incantation. You get this skull. It's Voldemort's mark. And now you've got a bunch of wizards that have popped up. Now they've got their wands out, and everyone was pointing at them. So they throw themselves to the ground, and just before hearing each of the wizards yell, chapter notable number 6, and yes, we're not even halfway through the chapter.
I know, it's going to be a long one.
And I'm already on chapter notable number 6, stupefy, which is the first time that we're hearing this in the movies. And if you've read or watched the Harry Potter films, you're like, oh, that's one of the most common spells that we hear. Yeah. Well, it gets more common from here out because there's more fighting. There's more battles, right? So,
yes.
So anyway, stupefy is a stunning spell. If the stupefy spell hits you, you're stunned. You're done. There's no movement, nothing you can do. So the book says there was a blinding series of flashes, and Harry felt the hair on his head ripple as though a powerful wind had swept the clearing. Raising his head a fraction of an inch, he saw jets of fiery red light flying over them from the wizard's wands, crossing one another, bouncing off tree trunks, rebounding into the darkness. Then Mr. Weasley yells for them to all stop, realizing that his son is laying there with two of his friends. Mr. Weasley comes up to check on them, but Mr. Crouch, Mr. Bartemius Crouch, tells Arthur to get out of the way.
It starts getting. I mean, it's already serious, but now we get a little bit more serious. And I wanted to ask you a question. So it said 20 wands lit up with stupefy. Now, obviously, not all 20 hit, but wouldn't that kill Winky if that many stupefy spells hit her at once?
You know what?
Or at least severely, like...
Well, we know, yeah.
I'm talking St. Mungo's,
We know that from the description, there was a lot of ricocheting and a lot of bouncing off trees and stuff, so we assume that not all 20 got her.
I mean,
we're dealing
Snape
with...
got hit with 3 Expelliarmus and was knocked out for 30 minutes at least.
Well, and Professor McGonagall was hit with 4 stupefies in book 5, and she was hospitalized, though she's a little
Winky's
older.
Not even half their
size. So we know that not every one of them hit her. So, but I think if 20 hit her dead on,
for sure.
Yeah.
I thought. I thought a little bit about that, and then the way that they woke her up. But we'll get to that when we get to it. So, Mr. Crouch is a very serious person, and he also seems like he's very stressed. I mean, we got Fudge, who is just
all over,
for lack of better words, sort of useless. So I would think Crouch would kind of have to pick up the slack.
Well, and we also learned, kind of a spoiler alert at the end of this book, that Barty Crouch was on track to be the minister.
Yeah.
Right? He was on track. But, sometimes things, politics.
Fudge, he seems defeated. He's in denial, trying to make light of a situation, which that part kind of makes sense. But so
Fudge,
Crouch,
Fudge seems like the kind of guy in politics that nobody wants him to be minister, but nobody really hates him or has a reason for him not to be.
Yeah.
Is what it feels like.
Yeah. So Mr. Crouch was convinced that one of them, Harry, Ron, and Hermione, had conjured the dark mark. I mean, they're right there. I mean,
yep.
That's the first conclusion they're going to jump to.
Knee-jerk reaction. I'm with you. Yep.
Yeah. So obviously they denied it, and then they pointed to where the spell had been muttered. Oh yeah, you heard a mutter over there,
wasn't it?
Yeah. Mr. Crouch obviously didn't believe them, but Amos Diggory, Cedric's father.
You like how I spelled that?
I didn't even see that.
Read it how it's spelled.
Cedric's father went over to check the area just in case their stunning spell might have gotten someone over there, which 20 of them, you had to hit somebody.
Yeah, that'd be a good chance, playing the odds.
Yeah, or you need to take a few more defense lessons and learn how to use a wand. A few seconds later, Amos came out of the trees with Winky in his arms, Barty Crouch's house elf. Barty went in to investigate that area where Winky had been found, though Amos told him that there was no one else over there. Amos was convinced that Winky conjured the dark mark. But Arthur, which I don't know how Arthur made a lot of sense, but at the same time, I was like, man, Arthur just is, right now he's deny. Which, He's the voice of reason.
Yeah,
He needs to be the voice
yeah,
of reason.
yeah.
So Arthur corrected him by saying, "The dark mark's a wizard sign. It requires a wand." Then Amos shows Arthur, she's got a wand right here.
Yeah.
Winky had it in her hand when he found her. Just then, Ludo Bagman apparated
Late
right
to the
beside
party.
him.
Late to the party
Yeah.
again.
Asking for updates on what's happening. And Barty Crouch then returned from the woods. His face was ghostly white, and his hands and his toothbrush mustache were both twitching. Ludo then sees Winky had been stunned, and comprehension fell over him, asking the wizards around him if they thought that Winky was the one that conjured the dark mark.
Yeah, and so we've come to this point. Winky was where the kids said they heard the spell. She was stunned. She had a wand. Everything is pointing to Winky. So now, okay, it's time to ask Winky what happened.
You know, this might be a 2-hour episode. We're about halfway through the script. This might be a record. I'm all here for it.
What question am I going to ask you?
I don't know.
What spell was used to wake
Renovate.
up? Wake up. Yeah, you mentioned it earlier. I was like, oh, he's going to get that one.
Yeah, and I thought they shouldn't have done that.
Why?
Or J.K. shouldn't have. There's just too many instances where that could have been used. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but obviously there's several instances where that could have been used, and this is the only one that I could think of.
So, are you saying there are several instances in the book where renovate could have been used, or other?
I mean, just in general, kind of, but
this is the only one you could think of.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that they used this.
Yeah.
Like I said, I haven't listened to the latter books in a long time.
I do them every year.
It's been a few years for me.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was stuck in books 1 and 2 for about 2 years. So.
That's true. That's true.
So it's been about 3 years since I've gotten past this book, at least.
So they use the spell renovate. Winky stirred feebly. This is what the book says. Winky stirred feebly. Her great brown eyes opened, and she blinked several times in a bemused sort of way. Watched by the silent wizard, she raised herself shakily into a sitting position. She caught sight of Mr. Diggory's feet and slowly, tremulously raised her eyes to stare up into his face. Then, more slowly still, she looked up into the sky. Harry could see the floating skull reflected twice in her enormous glassy eyes. She gave a gasp, looked wildly around the crowded clearing, and burst into terrified sobs. And then Amos interrogates her like he is 100% sure that she's guilty.
To be fair, it is his job.
It is his job. He does work in the department dealing with magical creatures, so it is in his realm.
Because at first I was like, whoa, then I was like, oh, what? No.
Yeah, like this is what he does for a living.
Yeah.
So Amos is interrogating her. Winky vehemently denies conjuring the mark. He accuses her of being found with a wand, holding it up for everyone to see. And when he holds it up to see, Harry's like, hey, that's my wand. And everyone's like, and then I love how Amos is like, so you do, you got it, you cast the mark, and then Arthur's like, Amos, look who you're talking to, and he goes, right, got a little carried away there. I got carried away there. But Harry explains he had lost his wand at some point and couldn't find it. But again, Winky denies using the wand, told him that she didn't even know how to conjure the dark mark. And then Hermione, and then Hermione comes to her defense. She's like, look, the wizard's voice that we heard conjuring the dark mark was a human voice. It was a low voice that sounded nothing like Winky's voice. Yeah. Good on you, Hermione.
Yeah. So Amos then uses the spell prior incantato, which does come up again, to see the last spell that Harry's wand had performed. A gigantic serpent-tongued skull erupted from the point where his two wands met. Nope. A gigantic serpent-tongued skull erupted from a... Come off it. A gigantic serpent-tongued skull erupted from the point where the two wands met, but it was a mere shadow of the green skull high above them. It looked as though it were made of thick gray smoke, like a ghost of a spell. Now, what do you think about... Because I have heard people having issues with this spell, Prior Incantato.
Mm-hmm.
What's your opinion on it?
I got nothing wrong with it.
Nothing wrong with it?
No, I got nothing against it.
Does it seem like an overreach?
No.
No?
No.
As long as they're just not randomly doing it for no reason.
I mean, yeah, this is the only time it's brought up.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
I could see like how it could be an invasion of privacy.
Yeah.
But for this instance,
yeah,
it's right. I think so.
Yeah, like I got nothing against that, especially for investigative stuff.
Yeah.
It's like I get it.
And then Amos cried, "Deletrius!" and the smoky skull vanished. Which I think they should have came up with a better. I don't know, Deletrius.
Yeah,
seems a little too easy.
Also, the only time we hear Deletrius.
yeah. So it doesn't really matter.
He was a lesser-known Greek god.
Yes. So Winky was caught holding the wand that had conjured the dark mark. Uh-oh. Amos thinks Winky is guilty, but Arthur tells him, "Think realistically. Precious few wizards know how to do that spell. Where would she have learned it?" Then Mr. Crouch goes on the defensive. "Perhaps Amos is suggesting," said Mr. Crouch, cold anger in every syllable, "that I routinely teach my servants to conjure the dark mark. You have now come very close to accusing the two people in this clearing who are least likely to conjure that mark, Harry Potter and myself. I suppose you are familiar with the boy's story, Amos, and I trust you remember the many proofs I have given over a long career that I despise and detest dark arts and those who practice them. If you accuse my elf, you accuse me, Diggory. Where else would she have learned to conjure it?" Arthur asked Winky where she found the wand, and then she pointed to the spot in over by the trees where she was found. Then Arthur explains, which makes perfect sense. "Whoever conjured the dark mark could have separated right after they'd done it, leaving Harry's wand behind. A clever thing to do, not using their own wand, which could have easily betrayed them. And Winky here had the misfortune to come across the wand moments after and pick it up."
Yeah, but Amos wasn't done.
Sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense, but Amos wasn't done. Amos, starting to sound like one of those guys. We already don't like him since the first time we met him.
Yeah,
he was just down on Harry Potter and, all that jazz. And now he's like, no, we're going to find the killer right now. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you want to. I mean,
yes.
As we find out in a little bit, the trouble that comes from not knowing right away.
All true. All true. So Amos isn't done. If she picked up the wand in the trees right after the dark mark had been conjured, then she would have seen the person that did it. Right?
Yeah.
Elf.
I mean, that makes sense. That makes sense too.
And this is really important the way that this is written. Elf, did you see anyone? Winky began to tremble worse than ever. Her giant eyes flickered from Mr. Diggory to Ludo Bagman onto Mr. Crouch. Then she gulped and said, "I is seeing no one, sir. No one." Mr. Crouch asked Amos to break protocol so that he could deal with his elf himself rather than she be taken into the ministry, into ministry custody and questioned and investigated there. Winky, in front of everyone there, begged Mr. Crouch because he was like, I'm going to punish her. She's going to be punished. I'm going to do it. She begs Barty Crouch. "Master," Winky stammered, looking up at Mr. Crouch, her eyes brimming with tears. "Master, please." kids. But Barty showed no pity. Winky has behaved tonight in a manner I would have not believed possible, he said slowly. Well, did he say it slowly? I said it fastly, so we're going to go back. Winky has behaved tonight in a manner I would not have believed possible, he said slowly. I told her to remain in the tent. I told her to stay there while I went to sort out the trouble, and I find that she disobeyed me. This means, chapter notable number 7, clothes. Winky was devastated. Hermione tried arguing in her defense, but Barty wasn't hearing it. I have no use for a house elf who disobeys me. I have no use for a servant who forgets what it is due to her master and to her master's reputation. Winky at this point can only sob. Like she's not Dobby.
Devastated.
Right? She does not want to be given clothes. Amos handed Harry back his wand, and Mr. Weasley took Harry, Ron, and Hermione back to the camp. This was a sad scene for me to read.
It is, but I hate to be that person.
Be that person.
He kind of does have a point. He told her to stay put. She did not stay put. And I think...
Knowing what you know...
I think she would have been safer in that top box.
Oh, can we talk? Can we just talk about spoilers for a second? Or should we?
Spoiler alert!
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Why was Winky in the top box?
Barty Crouch told her to save her a seat or save him a seat.
No, you blithering bunghole!
Blithering.
I know. I couldn't think of anything magical. She was in the top box.
Brook or something like
she was in the top box because she was with Barty Crouch Jr. under the invisibility cloak.
Oh, I forgot all about
She couldn't walk. She couldn't run in the forest because Barty Crouch Jr. is under the invisibility cloak.
I forgot all about that.
Barty Crouch Jr. is the one that made the dark mark. When Barty Crouch Jr. goes in after Amos Diggory, he knows that Winky was with Barty Crouch Jr., his son. And he knows that he's under the invisibility cloak. So when Amos is like, nobody's over there, I checked, Barty freaking knew. Barty goes in, he finds his son, he makes sure that he's fully covered with the invisibility cloak, and he comes back out. Barty knows, and yet he still did that.
Is that
That's
like
canon.
Flat out
That is canon.
Is it flat out explained later?
It sure is.
Canon
It
theory?
sure is.
Okay.
That is 100% what happens.
When I tell you it's been a long time since I've listened
The
to the
fact
rest of
that
these.
you didn't know, as soon as I said, why was she in the top box? You're like, oh, to save my seat. I was like, oh, he's forgotten the crux. Barty Crouch Jr. or Barty Crouch Sr. is a hypocrite. Bro!
Yeah.
Bro, everyone thinks that Barty Crouch Jr. is dead.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
So, like...
Yeah, I'm gonna need to listen to the rest of these books.
Bro.
I think I've been saying that for a while. I've listened to them. Couldn't tell you how many times, but...
Bro. So, now knowing that, and me knowing that Winky knows that Barty Crouch Jr. is alive, why would you free her? Wouldn't it make more sense to keep her in your house now?
He's just trying to save face at this point. So
I think he played it wrong. If my son, who was a Death Eater, was in Azkaban and I freed him, right? And my house elf knows all this, she's either dead or she's never leaving my house again.
Yep.
But for him to be like, you know what? Get away from me. You know what? Go work at Hogwarts. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make sense. Who cares about saving face? If she says one thing, because she told the truth, right? They tell truths to wizards.
Yeah.
Elf, did you see anything? He was under an invisibility cloak. I saw nothing. I didn't see anything.
If I remember correctly, she still doesn't say anything afterward.
She's never
She refuses to speak ill against him.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 So, knowing that, now that you're reminded of that, everything that you're reading in this chapter means so much more.
Yeah, I definitely need to listen to the rest of these books again.
Oh boy. That's why I'm saying, like, when you read this book and you go back and you read it again, you're like, oh, she can't run because a full-grown wizard is literally trying to stop her. Who's been, he's been under the Imperious curse. His own father has him under the Imperious curse.
So I'm wondering if anybody listening to this right now, did anybody listening to this right now realize that is what was going on? Am I the only one that seems to have forgotten?
Now, if you've not read the books, you shouldn't have no clue that's going on.
I have no clue, yeah.
If you have read the books...
there's a difference between listening and then read. I've only read the books all the way through once. So I've listened to them. I don't have time to read.
Yeah.
So I've listened to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. 30, 40, 50, 60.
Because we get Winky's testimony later, and we get Barty Crouch Jr.'s testimony later. And you don't even have to put this in the episode. Like, you can delete all of that out.
Oh no! I'll keep it.
Because that's big time stuff right there.
Yeah. No, I'll keep it.
Okay.
So on the way back to the camp, Hermione couldn't help but vent her anger on how Winky was just treated. But Mr. Weasley told Hermione that he agreed with her. But this was neither the time nor the place to discuss elf rights. Ron asked why everyone was so uptight about the Dark Mark, which the things Ron doesn't know.
I mean, it feels pretty self-evident, but
yeah,
you can't see that in the sky and be like, "Oh, that's neat." What is that? It's a skull with a serpent coming out of its mouth, bro.
Oh, I love skulls.
Yeah, this is a great fireworks show. Why is this the only one?
So Mr. Weasley told him he would explain it when they got back to the tent, which I am baffled that they're even going to attempt to go to sleep. I would go to the tent, pack everything up, and leave.
Let's go. Side along apparition. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm not staying.
Yeah.
So when they reached the edge of the woods, I like how you put woods, and you just stop trying to put wood.
I know.
It's confusing. Yeah. It's every time I read it, I'm like, wood? That doesn't sound right. Feels like a typo. So when they reached the edge of the woods, there was a large crowd of people gathered, wanting to know what happened. They obviously know that Arthur works in the ministry, so ultimately they wanted to know if Voldemort had conjured the Dark Mark, and Mr. Weasley spoke a little boldly here, in my opinion. He said, "Of course it's not him. We don't know who it was. It looks like they disapparated."
I honestly don't think...
Please, I want to go to bed.
I don't even think that they're asking him because he's a ministry official, because he's off duty. So I think he's the first. Here's the first person that comes to.
Well, then he gets quoted later, which is why I said it's very bold of him to.
Well, he gets quoted. Yeah, he gets quoted in the next chapter, but I don't think.
I mean, just saying that short little bit, he caused a lot of problems.
Let's see. But when they reached the edge of the wood, their progress was impeded. A large crowd of frightened-looking witches and wizards was congregated there. When they saw Mr. Weasley coming toward them, many of them surged forward. What's going on there? Who conjured it? Arthur. It's not him. So I guess some people did know that he was Arthur. And then he's just like, of course it's not him, he said impatiently. We don't know who it was. It looks like they disapparated. Now, excuse me, please. I want to go to bed.
I mean, he's
he is a ministry employee.
Yeah. She shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have said anything really.
Yeah.
the truth is such a. It's like, where do you draw that line on telling the truth? Just like with my kid, I'm like, I will not lie to you, but in my head, I'm thinking, I probably should. But I've done like all his life, like don't lie, and I've lived by that example. And some of the things I'm like, I should be lying, but I can't bring myself to do it. I just can't, and that's kind of Arthur in this situation.
Yeah.
So,
well, I also think that he was trying to put their minds at rest.
Well, yeah.
Of course, it wasn't him. Whoever did it disapparated.
But that gives him
trying
no
to go
answers.
to bed. Yeah, that gives him no answers, and that's really what we meet a very interesting character in the next chapter. That's why a certain reporter jumps on that they have no clue.
Love it.
Yeah.
So when they got back to the tent, Charlie told them that Fred, George, and Jenny had already gotten back to the tent. Bill's arm was bleeding, Charlie had a ripped shirt, and Percy had a bloody nose.
Yeah.
At least they were all there.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're all there. Yeah.
Imagine having to go back out and look for them.
Yeah. So Mr. Weasley then, with the help of Harry, Ron, and Hermione, explained everything that happened since, they got separated in the woods. And then Percy just had to be Percy. Well, Mr. Crouch is quite right to get rid of an elf like that, running away when he'd expressly told her not to, embarrassing him in front of the whole ministry. How would that have looked if she'd been brought up in front of the Department for the Regulation and Control? This is where Hermione had to be Hermione.
She didn't do anything. She was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Hermione, a wizard in Mr. Crouch's position can't afford a house elf who's going to run amok with a wand.
She didn't run amok. She just picked it up off the ground.
I love it. I love it. So then Ron's like, cool, elf rights, whatever. What's the deal? Why was everybody so spun up about the big skull with the serpent tongue in the sky? And then Hermione.
I don't blame him, right? He's asked a few times.
Like, just somebody tell me exactly why. Yes, it's a skull. Yes, it's a serpent. I'm afraid of that. Cool. Why did everyone get so spun up? Hermione reminds him that's Voldemort's sign, but then Mr. Weasley goes a bit deeper. He's like, nobody's seen that sign in 13 years. We learned that you-know-who, obviously that's what Mr. Weasley calls him, and his followers, they would send the dark mark into the air anytime that they had killed someone. And the terror of it was, you get home, you see that dark mark over your house, just picture coming home and finding that, and then knowing what you're about to find inside. It was everyone was terrified of it, rightfully so.
And I love how later Percy brings up those cauldrons again.
Percy.
So Bill then asks something curious. Well, I don't know how his voice sounds. Bill. Well, it didn't help us tonight, whoever conjured it. It scared the chapter notable number 7 chapter notable number 1 continued.
Yes.
Death Eaters away the moment they saw it. They all disapparated before we got near enough to unmask any of them. Harry had never heard the term Death Eaters. Death Eaters. So Bill explained that the Death Eaters are what you-know-whose supporters called themselves, and that the hooded figures causing problems tonight were probably the remnants of the supporters that were able to avoid being sent to Azkaban.
Mm.
So we learned that the Death Eaters idea, or it was the Death Eaters' idea of fun to torture and kill muggles like they were doing with the Roberts tonight. They didn't kill them, but they were torturing them. Ron then asked, well, why? If they're truly Death Eaters, then why would they disappear when the Dark Mark was conjured? Well, Bill answering like an annoyed old brother, use your brains, Ron. If they really were Death Eaters, they worked very hard to keep out of Azkaban when you-know-who lost power and told all sorts of lies about him, forcing them to kill and torture people. I bet they'd be even more frightened than the rest of us to see him come back. They denied they'd ever been involved with him when he lost his powers and went back to the daily lives. I don't reckon he'd be over-pleased with them, do you?
which is something like it's a great, just adding depth to the situation, the power dynamic with Voldemort and who were his followers, because obviously last book, right? The last book, Sirius talked about how he had overheard Death Eaters in the prison talking about what they would do to the people that, weren't in prison, right? So there is,
It was a good question.
Yeah,
though. I mean,
great question, great answer.
Honestly, sounds like they got a little overzealous and just did it without really thinking, like old times. But
well, and then Hermione goes on to ask, okay, so whoever conjured the Dark Mark, did they do it to show support for the Death Eaters, or did they do it to, intimidate or scare the Death Eaters, right? And, Mr. Weasley's like, your guess is as good as mine. Like, there's really no way for us to know what the motive was.
They just got overexcited.
Yeah.
Got carried away.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah. But Mr. Weasley did say that only a true Death Eater could have conjured the mark. So they have this discussion. He's like, okay, everybody needs to go to bed in the morning. They're going to use a port key to get back home. Harry does go back to bed, but obviously he's wide awake. And here's the wild part. We're at the end of chapter 9, and the book started 3 days ago, right? He had the dream of Frank and Voldemort and Wormtail and Nagini 3 days ago. And he woke up after dreaming about Voldemort, and his scar was hurting. Now, just 3 days later, this happens at the Quidditch World Cup final. And he's like, is this connected? Like, is this part of that? And then the last paragraph in chapter 9, Harry, he thought of the letter that he had written to Sirius before leaving Privet Drive. Would Sirius have gotten it yet? When would he reply? Harry lay looking up at the canvas, but no flying fantasies came to him now to ease him to sleep. And it was a long time after Charlie's snores filled the tent that Harry finally dozed off.
Oh, we did it. We finally reached the end. We've had technical difficulties throughout the whole entire episode. And this is what I was expecting to happen as the podcast moved on. We're on book 4. The episodes are naturally going to get longer, whether the chapters are long or not.
Yeah.
Now is the time we start getting in depth about our thoughts about this, about, tying stuff together. So it's natural they're going to get longer, and I'm for it. Now, I guess my question is here, hopefully I don't make myself look stupid again. Do you think at this point anybody knows that Voldemort is coming back to power? Or was this just all a big coincidence because there were so many people? Because Voldemort himself said to Wormtail, it would be foolish of us to go to the Quidditch World Cup. It's going to be full of ministry officials. No. We're just going to sit here and wait.
Yeah. So, so that's a great question. So he somehow, okay, so we do learn this later. I
would also like to point out my memory retention. It's like I've never heard of the word retention. It has nothing to do with my knowledge of Harry Potter. I just can't remember anything. So.
Yeah. So there is a plan, right? So Voldemort talks about there is a plan in place for his most loyal follower at Hogwarts. Everybody assumes it's Severus at the time.
Yeah.
And so obviously Wormtail knows the plan, and one other person knows the plan. Barty Crouch Jr. knows the plan. So,
I mean, it would be fitting then that Barty Crouch was the one that conjured the Dark Mark.
Barty Crouch Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes sense, and they lay the whole thing out at the end of the book, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Man, at this point, it's like I'm surprising myself as the chapters go.
Yeah, you're like,
I just turned off that part of my brain.
I love it. I'm telling you this stuff, and you're like, really? Is that what happened? Tell me more. What else happens in this book? And I'm like, yo,
that's the whole point of the podcast is tying it all. Like,
yes.
The information's in front of you.
Yeah.
But then you got to start tying it all together, and maybe I just didn't tie that together. But
well, and it's like
this chapter, it's a great chapter.
Love this chapter.
Like I said in the beginning, sets up
so
the
much.
whole entire series from
so
there on
much,
out.
yeah.
Yeah. No, this it's a very important chapter. The whole chapter. I mean, that's pretty much all I got to say about it.
Yeah.
It's a very important chapter.
Yeah.
Like I said, the Quidditch chapter was prelude to this chapter.
Yeah. And then, chapter 10.
Poor Molly.
Yeah, chapter 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they find out about this, and she's like, what?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So thank you all for joining us, whether you're listening or watching. Hopefully you're listening from Spotify. Wherever you're listening from, if you can leave us a review or a comment or any type of feedback, it would help push us out, especially if you could share this with, there's a certain type of people that people need to share this with. Who? What?
All of your Potter friends.
Oh, that's right. And join us next time as we discuss Chapter 10, Mayhem at the Ministry. Andrew, go ahead and sign us out.
Use your brains, Ron.
Squib's Corner is hosted by Jeremiah Lobaugh and co-hosted by Andrew Beecham, myself. We would love to hear from you, so drop us a rate and review. To inquire about being a guest, or if you have questions, comments, or just want to give us your Harry Potter story, email us at squibscorner@gmail.com. To watch Harry Potter merch unboxings, follow Jeremiah's YouTube, Accio Potter Guy. Lastly, you can leave us a voice memo and follow us on Instagram at Squibs Corner Podcast.